Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. PSR is excited to present to you Last Call, featuring your boy, the Pimp Slap P.O.D., Mike M.
Pimpin' ain't easy, but it's fun like money. Got bookies on the run, now it's time to get money. Not your typical way to ball. It's last call like some convicts waiting on the next draw. You can feel the tension. Did I mention? Fools better pay attention, cause we getting paid like a pension. T's on the ones and twos, we not the ones that lose. Mike Money's killers might even make the evening news.
And now, let's get to the picks.
We be pumping! Buzz Sports Radio, you know we be pumping!
What up, what up, what up? Shout out to my guy T on the ones and twos. That song gets me jacked up. The best intro in all the pub sports radio landscape. I said it. I'll stand behind it. Tell me I'm wrong. Get out of here if you think that's the case. You're in the wrong spot, baby. We're Last Call. It's Pub Sports Radio. We're rocking tonight. Big card tonight in the NBA. We got a lot of college hoops back on deck as well. And, of course, the NHL. We're going to lace the skates up and try to tackle this three-pack of games. It's Wednesday, so it's typically the off day in the NHL, but loaded card nonetheless. And we're going to have some fun with tonight's card. We got a couple prop looks out there, something a little different. We kind of got away from some of the prop spots, but boy, they've been cashing. They've been kind of back there. I've been tracking them behind the scenes. I've been playing some of them myself, and it's time to bring them back. We got to bring that prop game back, and why not do a little pimp slap prop style action tonight? So we're going to have some fun with this card. I'm excited. And shout out everybody jumping in here, rocking with us early, 6 p.m. You already know it's Last Call. Last looks, trying to cook them books. I appreciate everybody dropping in early. We got a new member and our guy Richard out there rocking and rolling. Richard, welcome to the crew. Welcome to the family. Pub Sports is where it's at, man. We're just growing this thing every single day, and I appreciate you jumping in, getting loaded with us tonight. The Fix is in, says, figure out a little something so for me so far tonight. He's got a small parlay. Likes Indiana, likes Atlanta, and he's going to go with a little money line parlay with those two. So the Fix is in. Our guy dropping the first look in the chat tonight in the card. Appreciate that. Fix is in. Jay's final take, my guy. There's Dylan Med. Dylon, my guy, Dylan Med. Had fun hanging out with him last night, cashing some bets. Caddy Daddy, definitely not wrong. That intro bumps, baby. Doesn't it? Isn't that something? Gets me fired up. No matter what's going on in my day, that music gets on and I just get that smile. I'm glowing. Let's go. I'm looking forward to a great time tonight. And there's Nasty Nate. I jumped into Jimmy the Bag show earlier, Nasty Nate. I wanted to get your input on that Celtics game. I wasn't sure how you were going to play that thing. So Nasty Nate says Celtics are going to smash tonight. So appreciate our guy Nasty Nate dropping in. You know, that's the rock, if you will, when it comes to the chat. We know what Nasty Nate's going to say when the Celtics are playing. So shout out to our guy Nasty Nate dropping in here. J Smooth 16, let's do it. Money MF Mike, let's do it indeed. J Smooth, good to see you, my guy. Vincent Contreras, what up? Let's pimp slap them books. Vincent Contreras, my guy, welcome to the show tonight. Ron Lofton's there. Can't wait to get it done. Better with the new light. Yeah, you know, we're piloting this background here, but it's always going to be a work in progress. You know, we can't stand on our laurels here, but I got to figure out a way with this camera to make that thing shine. So we're rocking, though. We're getting there. We're starting to make it happen. So that's what it's all about. The Futon Bets, Pistons first quarter spot there for the Futon Bets. What an interesting spot last night for them Pistons, wasn't it? They're up there by, what were they up by 19 points, and they failed to cover the spread. I mean, they lost the first half. It was unbelievable to see what happened there. So Jay's final take says PSR fam, Jay, my guy. There's Ian, our homie Ian Shaber in the chat. Nasty Nate likes the Celtics second quarter. Zane Cole says LFG. Ron Lofton likes that Penn State plus 1.5 to start the night off. I wanted to get there, Ron Lofton. Penn State's done me dirty here lately, so I gotta be careful with how we get into that thing. But I'm gonna root you on. I'm gonna root for them boys on. You know, Penn State where it's at. We are Penn State, baby. And then J Rope From says, "What's good, Pimp Smack? Yeah, baby. We're fucking trying to get that cash, my guy. It's all about trying to make that money tonight." Big card, lot bigger a card than I expected, just given the three sports spots here. But, you know, again, want to have some fun with it. I think we're going to have a couple of spots here where we really have some strong looks. And then we're going to have some fun with some spots that we assume are going to get there. So Wine Time Sports, what up? Wine Time Sports, my homie in the chat, rocking with us, guys. You know what it's all about here. He says, I'm on Hawks money line, Spurs -3, Pelicans -2, and he likes NC State +4. I was thinking about that NC State spot. Battle tested now. They've gone on the road a little bit. They overcame some adversity. Good spot, I think, for them to put the smack down tonight. Wine Time Sports. Appreciate you dropping your hard looks in that, getting us all that cash, my guy. Caddy Daddy, back on college basketball totals. Got one for tonight. He likes the Mercer Wofford over 143.5. And there's Googles. Google says, let's go, my guy. Let's go indeed. Dana Delp likes that Penn State plus 1.5 as well. And says likes the Ohio State -2 spot in the Big Ten. Yeah, I was looking at that Ohio State spot too. I gotta be honest, I a lot of college basketball spots tonight that rock and roll that I thought are going to make the card, but we'll see how it goes here. We're going to start a little slower today in college basketball, and then there's a big 9:00 window, so I want to make sure we capitalize on that as well. And appreciate everybody dropping in here, guys. You know what it is. We ask you to do just 3 things today. We want you to hit that like button. If you haven't done so already, do me the favor. Show the appreciation for what we're doing here at Pub Sports Radio. Smash that like button for us. Hit that thumbs up. Grab a pen and paper and throw your plays in the chat. We all want to cash. The chat is sharper than ever. It's really a fun thing to watch it be a part of this thing here. It's, I was in a stream last night. I was talking about a couple of the chat plays that you guys dropped out there and trying to find some live spots, and boy, they came through for us. So we appreciate what you guys do day in and day out. It's all about growing the community, growing our bankrolls, and having a lot of fun while we do it. Nothing's more fun than cashing winning bets. There's Rocco Rogers. Says, what up, crew? What up, Rocco Rogers? Welcome to the show, my guy. Last call. We're rocking tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, short hockey card. I know a lot of you, don't even get into the ice, which is amazing because we're doing pretty well overall on the season, but we are going to have our fix of college basketball and NBA. I'm going to send you guys on over to All About the Hoops with a card full of basketball plays to cheer and cash along with the boys, Dabby and Dutch tonight. Big show, big Wednesday show for Pub Sports, the newest live stream we've got going there. Perfect timing, fills the void that we're going to miss with Thursday night football. And those boys are sharp as well. Cashing tickets like crazy, live betting, coming in with strategies, talking about when they're going to pull the trigger, and then pulling that trigger, getting that cash. Ian Shaver likes Kansas, first half -3.5. Lives next to Orlando, UCF. Tickets sold out. Kansas gets it done. Yeah, this is the first home game, right, for UCF joining the Big 12. So it'll be interesting to see how they rebound off that last performance. Jay Peasy wants to be talked off the Avalanche, and Jay Peasy, I don't think I can do that tonight, my guy. I think you're in the right spot. We'll talk about that game. Ron Lofton says, loves that Dana Delp Penn State, got +1.5 there as well. Rocco, what up, Rocco? Says, let's get it tonight. Great CBB slate, couple NHL plays, and loaded NHL tomorrow. Yeah, it's exciting time of year to be in part of sports. We got all kinds of things happening right now, and we've got the NFL rolling up here around the corner. So shout out to Jimmy the Bag and Troy Torrance last night, getting out there, giving you guys them early looks, cashing tickets like crazy this season. A lot of fun to see what those guys are up to in the NFL. Loaded weekend for the NFL as well. So lots of fun there. Rocco Rogers likes the Avs team total over 3.5 at a nice little +110 spot, my guy, Rocco Rogers. Appreciate you sharing that. Again, guys, drop them plays out there. We'll recognize them as much as we can. Want to get you guys into the right spots. And again, doesn't mean that just because we share it here doesn't mean that you guys don't have them winning tickets. And in fact, that's more often the case than not. So you know how we do it here. We're going to start out. We're going to do a recap. Very important to be transparent. And it was a grinding night last night. I'll tell you, it was fun towards the end, but it was not fun early on. And that's what we got to do. We got to talk a little bit about this. So we'll jump through here. We'll give a quick recap, and then we'll jump into tonight's card and get this thing rolling here. Get you guys out. Time to place your bets, and then swing on back through Pub Sports. The boys, Dutch and Dabby, are going to be doing up with All About the Hoops. So what did we do last night? Well, we kind of puked up in the NHL. Wasn't it, difficult position. The LA Kings, up 2-0 in that game. Nice goal called back. Then you just could feel that Tampa Bay momentum coming, and they got it done. Tampa gets the job done. Picks up that 3-2 win and gives us a big L on that spot for the LA Kings, who continue to be a reeling organization right now on the road. Maybe they got to get back home and clean things up, but right now they took a big L for us to start the card out. We did take an L on the Islanders as well. Vancouver, man, somebody, I forgot who it was in the chat. Shout out to, and I don't mean that to not have that at the top of the hand here, but shout out to whoever said that Vancouver is going to pull that New York, New Jersey sweep here on the road, because They sure did. Vancouver looks really strong right now. The real deal. Going to be fun to watch Vancouver and Winnipeg battle it out as they get moving forward. So we got the L on the Islanders, but we did cash the revenge spot again. Every time I see that thing pop up, I'll share it with you guys regardless, because I think we're 6 in a row on that thing now. And I want to say it's at least 9 of the last 10 that spot is cashed. Again, when you're a home favorite and you lose the game in the season, you're playing the same team again, and now you're a road favorite, just winning at a tremendous rate. Florida -1 comfortably gets the job done. Best part about that is they started out the game down. So we had an opportunity to bounce in there at +125 to pick up that Florida Panthers spot. And then they came out there and they smoked them towards the end. I think it was a 4-1 final. So no sweater there. And look, we talked about the strategy with these two dogs. Said, look, we got to take both these dogs and we're going to get one of them and we're going to end up profitable. In that we were. Columbus got smoked. Columbus, bad call, 5-0. Interesting that trend that I had where the teams that left Arizona were 0-9 that next game that they played. But Columbus is just that bad. +215. They get swept and smoked 5-0 in that game. And it wasn't even close. They weren't even close. They just got beat down from start to finish. But the other side of the equation, how about them Coyotes, the old desert dogs there? We talked about this. The Coyotes, one of the best teams in the NHL when they're playing against an unrested team coming in from the road. They took down Boston. Sweaty, definitely was sweaty. But the sweat made it fun because we were able to cash a +310 live ticket on that thing as well. The show official play, though, was +136. And then we lost that under 6.5 in Nashville. What a bad way to lose it. I think it was 5-2 final. We saw Montreal goes out there, scores 3 goals right off the first period, goes up 4-0. I think it was 4-1, 5-1, 5-2 with like the closing seconds for Nashville to stymie our under 6.5. To bring us to a close in the NHL. We did have a nice little 2-in-1 spot, though, in college hoops. We got Iowa State +2.5. We got Nebraska +7.5. Remember that spot. We talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. Big Ten specific conference team that is a home dog coming off a loss. Big opportunities for those guys to continue to cash bets there. Nebraska 7.5. Big double-digit outright winner. Man, I wish I'd put some cash on. Cash on Iowa State money line and cash on Nebraska money lines would have had to pay handsomely. We did take the loss, though. Cincinnati -4 did not get the job done. And it was Texas, I believe, that was just too strong against that Cincinnati Bearcats team that really was never outside. They were never covering the number, to my recollection, for the majority of the game. So, it is what it is. We took the Detroit +11 loss. What a bunch of scumbags. They just gave us a big L at +11. Bad pick, double-digit spots. The Sacramento Kings now going to be 2-2 when they're facing a double-digit spread this season. Interesting there for the Kings, who are going to be back on the court again tonight. We've got the Knicks -12. Blew them boys out. Blew them out from start to finish. Comfortable, no sweater. They were up like 40 points at halftime. It was crazy to see what happened there. And then we closed out the card. We did cash the Dallas under 235.5. And son of a gun, if I didn't go out, I was so close to tweeting out the officials with those Toronto spots there. The under for the rebounds for why am I drawing a blank? Scotty Barnes, unders again cashed. We'll talk about that tonight in that spot, the under 8.5 cash. Toronto +5 cashed. That was a crazy game at the end. That was the old late nighter there. I had to stay up late to watch that thing kind of finish out there. And boy, it was like a last second 3 that got the +5, the second half +3.5 spots covering with the last second heroics to get the job done. So that's going to do it. That's how you go 6-6. We dropped like 0.2 units last night. So it was very much a grind. Don't like to be in that position. You gotta live bet some spots out of there to turn a profit. We did, but we got to do better. We came off that 7-1. Good news is we didn't blow the previous day's winnings. We fought the good fight and we came out with a push. So small juice in there because we had some plus money spots. There's Caddy Daddy says, I feel you, Mikey. I was on the under 240, ended 241, even with the 79-point first quarter. Crazy, isn't it? There's Perky Bumps. What's up, Perky Bumps? How you doing, my guy? Likes Tennessee money line tonight. Not mad at that play. And there's Joseph Thompson. Joseph Thompson's dropping his plays in the chat. I think I might have missed the other one. I'll have to circle up here and see if I can find it. He likes the Providence St. John's over 146 out there for our guy, Joseph Thompson. Zane Cole, that sign behind you slaps. Thanks, man. That was a little Christmas gift from my brother and his wife, and still working on it. It lights up. We're gonna have some fun here as we evolve. But appreciate you recognizing that, Zane. Thank you much for the kind words there. Pierce the weather. You're like Thor with the hammer, but with the hand. Thanks, man. Thanks, dude. I appreciate you, Pierce the weather. Appreciate it, man. Ron Lofton says, lost the Yotes game under, but they won a great game. Yeah, it's funny because I had a lean on there with Calgary too. No joke. I had a parlay. This doesn't help anybody, but I'll just say it because it makes me feel good. I had the Toronto plus 4.5 parlayed with the Calgary Flames and the Arizona Coyotes, and it was a plus. I want to say it was like 780 or something like that. And then I was able to live bet just the Coyotes and the Calgary Flames, and it was still plus 780. So it was weird to see the number was the same number with one less spot in there. But hey, you know what? It works. It is what it is. Again, just had fun with that thing out there. Didn't get it done, but we will continue to fight the good fight. Still got that bankroll to work with, and looking forward to it. I'm going to scroll up here and find our guy, Joseph Thompson's other play there. He's sharp as hell when it comes to dropping these plays in the chat. If you guys aren't following along, you're missing out because he does nothing but print money for us. There's Markel. Let's go, Markel. What up? Says Pierce the Weather. Says, what's up, Pip? Slapping on ass books. Absolutely. There we go. There's Joseph Thompson's spot. Says cashed easy last night. He likes that Wofford Mercer over 143.5. And then Scarminati likes that Kings -2 in the first quarter. There's Mike with the Thunder -4. Mike dropping his play out there for us. Ron Lofton, Caddy Daddy. I got no puck bets tonight. Hopefully, Mike, you got some looks. Only thing I leaned was that over 6.5 and the Vegas Avs and Vegas team total over 3.5 at plus 1.5. So, yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about it here. Appreciate everybody dropping in again. Hit that like button for us, guys. Want to continue to grow the brand, promote the cause. A few weeks ago, Pimp Slap took Columbus money line in the NHL at plus 180. Everyone was like, no, they'll get flipped. Guess what? Yeah. Listen, we're going to take shots. We're not just trying to go out there and drop the -180s. And, hopefully we're right more often than we're wrong, and that'll be profitable. Bella Coots says Syracuse. Interesting spot, Bella Coots. Boston College has, I don't think they've ever beaten Syracuse in Syracuse. I want to say Syracuse has beaten. I know they have, but I'm being facetious about that there. They have picked up 10 straight wins against Boston College. Short little number. I know Syracuse has kind of been in flux here with the coaching change and trying to get things right, but I think it's a good spot for Syracuse to whoop up on Boston College tonight. So that Carrier Dome's going to be rocking. Bet you me. Crazy spot to go if you haven't had an opportunity to watch a game there. Definitely a fun spot. Ears pop when you walk in, but once you adjust to that, everything's good. And Jay Peasy's on that Wofford over spot. There's Kent Davies. Got no action. I suck at college basketball. Hey, that's okay, Kent Davies. Maybe we'll share a spot here. The guys in the chat, the guys and girls in the chat will have something for you. I know they'll continue to share all night. So the futon bets like Zubac over 13.5 points and Rocco Rogers like Syracuse -4. Probably move on it. Peasy. Yeah, maybe a live bet spot too. Sometimes they start a little sluggish. Caddy Daddy like Zubac double at even money. Toronto already gave up the double, and now without Bodo. Yep, certainly a spot there. Kirk Gray says St. John's -7. The Hogs +2 and the Bulldogs +3. Chosen 1, Clemson -1.5. Western Kentucky money lines. The Vegas money line. Mel. Let's get into the. On that note, Mel, let's put the skates on. Let's lace them up. Let's get the ankles taped up. And let's get out there on the ice and talk a little bit about how we're going to get this cash tonight. Again, appreciate everybody dropping in, sharing their looks. Continue to share them. I'll continue to shout them out, you guys. It's a team here. We're a group trying to get this cash together. Everybody's looking at the scoreboard the same way, looking to get paid. So let's jump in. Let's rock this NHL card. Tricky card tonight. Tricky little card. And I know our guy JPC's not going to be happy with a couple of these spots because, here we go with this Philly game. And remember what I said before. When we have a small card, we find a dog that ends up winning one of those games. Now, that's I should have looked the number up. I want to say it's like 15-2 that it happened 17 times that there's a 2-game card, a dog ends up winning. Well, that didn't happen the other night, the last time they had the 2 spots. So I think that very much kind of pulls it back in play tonight. And I was considering how to go about this thing. I don't like the Flyers as a huge favorite like this. I don't think there's money to be made, betting the Flyers at -175. But here's the thing about the Philadelphia Flyers, the whole city of Philadelphia, they find a way to use adversity as a chip on their shoulder and go out there and just kick the shit out of everybody. And I think that could potentially be the spot for Montreal tonight. The adversity that's taken place, their number one draft pick, Cutter Gauthier, led the World Juniors in goal scoring for Team USA. They get the gold medal, and he just ghosted everybody in Philadelphia. You hadn't heard. It's kind of a shitty thing to do. Before they drafted him, they asked him if he wanted to play. He says, yes, I do. I can't wait. My mom's from Philly. I love the Flyers. I watched him as a kid. And he goes to the rookie camp at the start of the season. He's telling everybody, I don't want to play in Philadelphia. Then the coaches and the general managers catch wind, and he doesn't even give him the common courtesy to give him a call back. So what do? They get Drysdale, a defenseman out of Anaheim. Huge score because we got a scrub, low-character individual that goes out the door, and we bring in a 21-year-old defenseman. He was, I believe, the number 6 overall pick, at 21 years old, rocking and rolling out there, a staple now on the blue line to get the job done. So, the whole city's crying and rallying around this thing here. Philadelphia has lost a number of games as of late. Not a great spot for them. But I think this is kind of that situation where they use this motivation to create a turning point. That whole kind of Philly pride. If you don't want to play in Philadelphia, we don't want you here. Montreal starting primo at 4-4. 3.3 goals against average, 89.8% save percentage. Puke. Other side of things, we got Philadelphia starting Ersson at 9-5-3. Ersson's been playing pretty well. It's only his second start of January, and I know he's 0-2 in his last 2, but he's 92.6% saving. He's got an 8-2-2 save percent, 8-2-2 record going on there, and playing incredibly strong hockey right now as a backup. Favorites on a Wednesday are 43-27, so keep that in mind as we look at tonight's card. But I was looking at this thing, and I saw this kind of factor. When you're a home favorite, you had less than 26 saves the previous game that went under. It's 58-37 to the under. Big trend there for the under as well. And look, Montreal, they're not scoring. They got 3 goals or less in 5 of their last 6 games. So it's just a lean for me. I'm not starting the card out strong with this Philadelphia spot. If anything, I was thinking about parlaying, just full disclosure, the Flyers with the Colorado Avalanche. But I lean to this under 6.5 because I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. If I was going to look at any of the teams that I think is a shot as a dog to win the card tonight, I'm going to go to this next game. I look at this Minnesota-Dallas spot. Big opportunity tonight. Now, this is the second game of a back-to-back for these guys, right? Now, everybody talked about this before. Dallas, first period overs, right? The games are going over. And then what happens, last game, we said it. I'm not going to pull the trigger on it because it just doesn't feel right, and it stayed under. So interesting spot. As a home team, right? As a home spot there's the Dallas situation. So when I looked at this one, though, first of all, full disclosure, away teams that previously hosted the team they're playing in a back-to-back spot, not a good trend. I think it's like 205 and 280. So there's definitely an edge to be had for Dallas, who's been out there cooking right now. And if you look at the Dallas series, Dallas has outscored this Minnesota team in a really, it was a pretty remarkable situation. 12-3 in the 2 games they've played this season. Dallas has outscored Minnesota. So why do I like the under? Well, I'm looking at Wallstedt. Here's a kid that's getting his NHL debut. He was the number 20 overall draft pick in the 2021 draft. It does take that long for players to mature and get used to the speed of the game. They're not all Connor Bedards that come in here right off the hop. And you can argue, as good as Connor Bedard is, he doesn't have the physical strength. He gets his jaw busted up, and he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. So it does take a while for these guys to mature and settle into the role. Wallstedt, though, 11-9 in Iowa Stars. The Iowa franchise, the Iowa farm team, 2-5-4, 91.7% save percentage out there for Wallstedt, the Minnesota young buck out there getting his NHL debut. And he's going against Wedgwood. Now, Wedgwood, 11-4-3 on the season, 317 goals against average, and 89.4%. When you're tipping over 3, it's a suspect situation. He is back. He did start 11 in a row. They gave him the rest and went to Matt Murray. We were all over that Matt Murray spot there with that under in the game. Everybody loved the over. It's Dallas. The first period goes under. The game goes under. We cashed that spot. But just have a sneaky suspicion. Wedgwood's allowed 4 goals or more in his last 5 games. So he's 2-2-1 in those games. He's average. He's middling. But what happens when you bring in the young star talent? The team rallies around him. I think it's a good opportunity to pull the trigger on Minnesota live at a plus 165 spot. But I think contrary to popular opinion, where everybody thinks this is going to be a score fest, again, we're in the same situation. That Dallas trend might come back and reinvent itself again, but we're starting to see it sputter out. They're not going to continue to cover forever. It just doesn't happen. When you've last played Dallas, Toronto, Detroit, or San Jose, which is the Minnesota case in this example, second game of a back-to-back, and they're a dog, 20, 45, and 4 to the under. The average total, 2.4 to 3 goals total in those games right now. 6.5 is the number that I locked in on for this thing. It's a little juicier, but I do think this is a low-scoring game. I think, Minnesota's star talent still out in Kaprizov with the overall number one player injury factor out there. But under 6.5, sitting there at minus 115 for me at PointsBet New York. Spot that I'm pulling the trigger on here. Sneaky suspicion everybody, mans up and D's up and does their best to protect this guy. Not to mention a bunch of cash coming in on that under. I know we don't talk enough about that, but Mel says wild team total under until further notice. Now, Mel, that's a play I could get down with on you there. I think that's a potentially strong look as well. Fernando Mendoza says he was leaning over 6.5, 3-3 type of game. So hopefully I cash a draw in this game. Dallas is a big draw team. Can't be mad at that. Dallas first period over, 0-2 in the last 2 games, JPZ. You know it, my guy. Fun to be on it when it's kicking, but it's starting to sputter a little bit. So, they're not still clicking. Channing Brown is essentially, I'm reading up from the bottom, so I'm a little late to the party with you guys there. Let's see here. Loopy says, riding Dallas hard. Let's go, Mike. Can't be mad at that. It's a pricey spot for Dallas, though, here. And it's the second game. They've dominated them twice in the series now. Minus 190. You got to take a minus 200. You're going to have to take a minus 1 in that case to be a potential profit spot here. And, Jesper Wallstedt's debut, I think it's a tricky little motivation spot for these guys as well. And I kind of thought that with the entire card as we get to the third game. But we got the motivation for the flyer spot after the player just kind of cowardice that he is, takes off and doesn't return the phone calls. Then we got this Dallas team with the rookie goaltender in Minnesota in a spot where they've been dominated by this team all season. And let's go to the third game. The third game we're going to talk about here in the NHL. We're looking at this Colorado spot, Mel, I'm doing it again. I got Colorado minus 1, and I'm taking them at plus 108. Looking at these two games here, I talked about the motivation. Let's just put the let's just get the elephant in the room here. Vegas just whooped the shit out of these guys in November, 7-0. 7-0, outright disrespect. But that was in November. That was at the start of November. We had a lot of injuries in the Colorado Avalanche array. They're still banged up. You could say that as well. But what's not being really talked about now is the sickness that's kind of flying around. Vegas is in a difficult position right now. They got to go to Aiden Hill. Now he's 10-2-2. There's no question. Guy's a stud out there. But it's only his second start since November 30th. He's been dealing with injuries the last 6 weeks. He had gotten pulled in the first period of his start because he ended up having this lower body injury, and they had to go in there and they had to run the combo of the backups and of course, Thompson as well. No slub in Thompson. But here's the thing about these two teams here. Georgiev not playing his best hockey. You got, clearly that's evidence. They've got 12 straight starts for this guy though. And what's happening is Colorado scoring goals, 8-2-1. Despite the fact that he's 88.1% save percentage. He's brought his save percentage down to 89.4 on the season with his dose of his previous games that he's played out there. But a couple things that we have going for us here. Teams that are lined between minus 120 and minus 170 are 191 and 121. When you're the home team with a road Toronto spot on deck and you're greater than a minus 120, you're 25-2. 25-2 when you got Toronto on deck. 2.15 goals margin. And then the Cole Makar difference maker here. When he's got more than 2 shots on goal and you won against the West the previous game, it's 54-17 as well. Last but not least, teams that scored 5 or more goals, won the game by 3 or more points on the road are 29-52. That's the Vegas spot there against the Islanders. Give me the revenge and motivation situation going on. Last but not least, if you're the Avalanche, Edmonton Oilers, Minnesota Wild, or the Arizona Coyotes, and you're off a win at home, you're 32-10 with a 1.29 goals margin in those spots as well. All of those spots, and I mentioned the margin in those things because I'm comfortable taking the -1. I wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to go to the regulation spot, but for me tonight, probably my it's hard to say which one's my favorite between the two. I definitely lean this Colorado spot more than not. I'm not going to come out here and jockey up a -145 for you guys on the money line. I'm good with that -1 spot at plus money. But got a risk reward. You got to make your own decisions. And I wouldn't be mad at the money line. You know, if this thing does have an overtime shot to it, I just feel like we see a 4-2 type of game here, and Colorado gets the job done. But I know Mel's got boots on the ground. Vegas puck line plus 270. Yes, plus 270. No Byram, no Wood. Tested positive for influenza. I'm not sure if that's what they call COVID these days, but yeah, I got you. No Manson. Couldn't get past the morning skate. And an exhausted Gorgiev. I got it. These hockey players play every day, though. So, respect now. We're I don't know what our record is here in the last couple of days that we've been head to head on these spots, but I know we were 1-1 at one point. I just don't recall if we had a third one in there. So, Mark says Colorado money line. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not trying to be controversial, Kent Davies says, we got to keep an eye on these illnesses. I was sick for a month and my whole family too, coughed and couldn't talk for weeks. If these players get that in the locker room, I want to bet against that. And I think that's exactly what's going on with Logan Thompson right now. Not to mention, you got Aiden Hill. The guy's been injured for 6 weeks. Now, you got to respect and suspect that the fact that he's been injured for 6 weeks means they're taking their time to bring him back in until he's healthy. But it only takes one funny turn, one bad puck bounce. Maybe somebody smacks him in the face with a slap shot, and all of a sudden his bell gets wrong. He's seeing birds, and he can't finish the game. I don't know. I'm not saying I want that to happen, but I do want my Colorado -1 to win. So, yeah, all right. So this is our third battle now. This is our third one. What up, Nanya? What's going on, my guy, Nanya? Truth Teller. Truth Teller says, I made my own -1. All right, Truth Teller. Let's go. Let's get it. Fernando says, I hate today's card. Shake my head. Yeah, it was a tricky spot in the NHL. I mean, I love playing hockey. I love betting on hockey. I love live betting hockey as well. I like watching the game too. I love the pace of the game. So I'm gonna always have my best to come in here with a play. And even if there's no NHL, then I'm gonna come in here with an AHL play. That's my commitment to this group here for Pub Sports. And that's how much I like hockey. I follow all levels of this thing and get excited about these opportunities. So yeah, Nanya says, hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Truth Teller says 1.5 units on the money line and 1 unit on the puck line. There's a Truth Teller. That's how he gets to the -1. What up, Jacqueline? How you doing, Jacqueline? Good to see you in there. And Loopy says, hitting hard dogs in the Australian Open tennis qualifying spots. Good for you, my guy, Loopy. Share him in the chat with us. Let's go. Truth Teller. Yeah, I'm watching 2 games on TNT tonight, and I got big bets on both. And farewell, Nick Saban. Yeah, shout out Nick Saban retiring. He wasn't happy about the NIL dollars either. He was disappointed with what was going on there. He didn't feel it was a great spot. And he was complaining that without the transparency, it was going to negate the recruiting advantage that a player playing in the NFL and the draft had. That was their big recruiting advantage. Why should I go to Alabama? You want to get drafted in the NFL? Yeah, but now you got all these other teams out there. Why should I come to Miami? You want to make $4.5 million and sit on the beach all day? Yeah, okay, that's a big competitive advantage there. So what up, Pimp Slap, says our guy Tony Trill. Thoughts on Jazz +7? We're going to cover that. That's a spot that I'm involved with, Tony Trill. Looking forward to talking about that. Mel, Mike, best bet is the second period. Yeah, Mel, that second period over is the best bet there in Colorado. Best team in hockey when it comes to the second period over. So might be juicy, but I'll be in on it. I was in on it the other night. I think I even took it. It was -180. I was like, I don't care. This thing's going to cash. I think they scored 3 goals. And they did. So it was a nice little bankroll booster out there. How do you feel about the WNHL? Yeah, Loopy, I guess I got to do a little more research in there. I mean, I'm pro the players in the WNHL, but I guess I don't follow that just that closely enough. Now, the WHL, the Western Hockey League, might be a different story. But Kent Davies, I'm fading several golfers to make the cut tomorrow. Lots of honking win for afternoon tee times. I wanted to bet the Grand Salami on the home teams, but it was -2 something. And Miles Johnson, are we going to touch on Tennessee versus Mississippi State? I do not have a play on that, but let's go. Let's jump into this thing. Let's get into this college basketball card here because I do have quite a few plays that I was excited about sharing with you guys tonight. And I think there's some really good, I guess if I kind of looked at the theme for the card, it's kind of motivation and opportunity. I just talked about that through the 3 NHL games. As we transition to college hoops, I feel very much that it's the same process that's going on out here with college hoops. We look at this thing here. The first game I want to start with, I'm looking at this Clemson Virginia Tech game. We got a Virginia Tech team, tons of seniors on this Virginia Tech team, but not a lot of talent on this Virginia Tech team. They're kind of like, it's almost like this season, Virginia Tech, in my opinion, said, we have to give it to the guys that came back and didn't opt out or didn't move out to the NBA. That these guys, I don't even know if they have NBA caliber players, but It's almost like they said, we're going to let them play out their senior card, and then we'll go back and we'll recruit and we'll restock the till here. Clemson, on the other hand, a very competitive team. This line opened up at -1.5 for Clemson, and it ping-ponged all day. We're back. This U-shaped movement has put it back to Clemson -1.5. The 51% of the bets and 54% of the cash sitting there on the Clemson side of things. You look at the total, it opens at 144.5. We've got marginal movement. There's a 143.5 out there. There's a bunch of 144s and 144.5s, and then a 145. We have 66% of the bets and 79% of the over, though. 79% of the cash on the over. So kind of a little bit of a red flag. But you guys know I look at this when we get this kind of condensed line, this 1.5 spot. Let's take a look at the money line. We got -120 is where it opened up. 41% of the bets, but 75% of the cash on this Clemson money line, and it has moved 10 cents. In fact, not just has it moved 10 cents, but we've seen a 15-cent movement on the other side for Virginia Tech to go from +100 to +115. So certainly a big factor where the bigger money's coming in on the 11-3 Clemson side of things. And if you look back at this thing with kind of most recent performances, yeah, Clemson hasn't done a great job, but they had two big opponents out there. They had UNC at home. Yeah, they kind of rolled over on that one. They were 2.5-point favorites. They got beat by 10 points. They had Miami prior to that. They were 1.5-point favorites. But now I think we're starting to see the pendulum swing as we're seeing Clemson start to take some divisional losses, some conference losses. The flip side of things, you look at this Florida State team. Virginia Tech plays Florida State. They're a 1-point favorite. They lose the game outright by 3 at Florida State. They play Wake Forest. They get bludgeoned by Wake Forest, 86-63. We're going to have to keep our eyes on that Wake Forest team because they are somebody that's going out there and taking names. They're kind of collecting scalps, if you will, along the process here of their college basketball run this year. But, you know, Virginia Tech has won 8 in a row at home. Big spot for them. Clemson, 2 bad road losses, as I just mentioned about. But, you know, the thing about Clemson is PJ Hall's an All-American senior on that team. He's a 19.5-point production guy. He goes 6.4 rebounds and 2 blocks a game. He had 10 points the last game. He shot 4 of 13 against UNC. Clemson has a top 50 offense and a top 50 defense. And I don't think they're going to roll over in this game. You know, if you look at the Virginia Tech side of things, I just talked about it. You know, young coach usually has a nice elite offense out there, but they're just riddled with seniors that just aren't very good. It's just that simple of saying their team is just not very good. They attempt a ton of 3-pointers. And we talked about this before. We saw this again last night. These teams that like to shoot the 3 go on and they miss one here, one there, and things start to compound themselves and fall off. I don't need Clemson to go out there and win the game by 10. I think they sneak in here on the road. They put the paddle down on a Virginia Tech team that granted has seniors, but we got this Virginia Tech team this Clemson team that struggled from shooting, and it's going to be a big night for PJ Hall to rebound, recover. He's an All-American senior, and I think we see him put up at least 20 points tonight. So he does that. Clemson's going to get the job done. They're going to pull the W. Let's move on. Let's talk about this next game out there. Appreciate everybody dropping in there. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Miles Johnson says Wake Forest, one of the best offenses in the ACC. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Miles, I do have a change of opinion with the way that Wake Forest has been playing as of late. I'm starting to become more intrigued. I don't know if I'm going to get there with them just yet, but I certainly am more intrigued by what's going on. And speaking of what's going on and being intrigued, I'm looking at this Oklahoma and TCU spot, and I'm very intrigued by this one. I haven't pulled the trigger just yet. It's a 9 p.m. start, so there's a little bit of time to discuss this thing and take a look at it. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the chat. This line opened at 3.5. There's 4s and 5s out there now. So 70% of the bets and 64% of the cash taking on this TCU side of things. The line's moved. It's moved a point to a 1.5. The total is dropping, and it's dropping despite the fact that 42% of the bets and 88% of the cash are sitting there on this over. So the public and the money is suggesting a high-scoring game, and the books are readjusting this thing to get a little bit lower. Shout out to our guy, Ian Shaber. Appreciate you, my man. Gifting a Pub Sports membership. Helping grow the cause. We appreciate you, my guy. Thank you for doing that mighty work for us here. Literally, one guy growing it by himself with the number of gifted memberships our guy Ian Shaver's giving out there. Ian, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the gifts and blessing our action tonight, as Jimmy the Bag says, when it comes to getting this cash. So As far as this TCU game, as I looked at this TCU spot, though, I want to pull the trigger. I want to get it done. I'm concerned that the number's moving a little bit too much here. At 3.5, I was really all about it. TCU, tough schedule. They've played a much tougher schedule than Oklahoma. You look at Oklahoma, this is really their first road game. Their previous game was a neutral court site there against North Carolina. That was Oklahoma's only loss of the season. So, as far as what they can do on the road, this is really going to be their first true test at 13-1. They want to get that one off their backs, but they came out. They looked like shit in that UNC game. They were sleepy, Big 12 ACC showdown, and they just rolled over. Other side of things here, TCU goes into Kansas, absolutely the toughest place to play college basketball, hands down. And, they go out there, they take a loss, but it's a 2-point loss. They're a team that forces turnovers. They get a ton of rebounds, both offensive and defense. And again, you get another situation where they're a top 40 offense and defense. And there's a reason that an 11-3 team is laying 4 points against a 13-1 spot. So it's a lean for me on the TCU side. It's not my favorite play on the card, but it's a 9:00 start, and it might be something that I end up bundling into a couple of parlays. There's Mike says Oklahoma. Yeah. You know what? Texas last night. I was wrong on that one. So I will certainly admit when I am wrong. But I don't think so tonight. I think these Horned Frogs are going to find a way to get this cover for us and get this cash. So what up, Andrew G? Getting it done. Miles Johnson likes Western Carolina and in the East Tennessee State, West Carolina spot. I was kind of looking to that under. I think I got an over with Eastern Tennessee prior, but I was definitely looking to that under. Any leans on first half NCAA basketball? Well, way to lead us in, Goggles, to our next play on the card here. In fact, let's talk about it. Let's bring it on. Let's go. This is a great spot, I think, in my opinion. Of course, I'm going to say that about my plays, right? This spot really sucks. This is a shit spot. Buyer beware. No, I would never say that. I wouldn't come out here and give me a bunch of cocktails. I might start throwing a bunch of shit spots out there, but they still look good, even if I got my cocktail glasses on. So, let's talk about this next game. I'm looking at Butler and Marquette. Again, it's another 9 p.m. start. I thought the meat of the bone for this college basketball slate tonight was sitting here on this 9 p.m. window and later. So majority of the spots are kind of teed up accordingly. I'm looking at Butler Marquette. I've got this line opens at 10.5. We've got 54% of the bets and 67% of the cash. If you guys are new here, I always look at that cash spot and say percentage of money to me. I typically equate that to the bigger bettors. Typically bigger bettors are sharper bettors. You don't find a lot of amateur bettors that are coming in there dropping, 5 dimes on a play. They're usually, $5 on a play. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not going to move the number enough to be substantial to drive this number. And in this case, 67% of the bets, cash rather, the line has moved a point. It opened at 10.5. It's now 11.5. The total opens at 152.5. We're at 155s and now 155s and a halves. 67% of the bets, 99% of the cash on the over, and this line has moved 3 points. So some telling spots here in this spot. We got Butler at 10-5. And then we've got Marquette at, I just moved off of it, right in front of me here, at 11-4. For me, this game came down. This one to me fits a lot of the model that we had for that Oregon-Colorado spot last, was that game on Saturday? I can't remember if it was, I was on a PSR stream and we talked about it. I just don't remember which one it was. So nonetheless, we talked about the situation being, a team kind of rebounding and recovering. I might not have been that game. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. I feel like this is that spot here. We got a Marquette team at home, just lost to Seton Hall, -5 at Seton Hall, right? -5. They take a loss. Not a good game at all. They were getting bludgeoned. And I know our guy Perky Bump was all about that one. He was waving the white flag 5 seconds into the game as he does. And I'm not against it. We got to halftime and I was like, I don't have any play on this game. Marquette's quicksand at this point, and they're just gonna quit this game. And they battled, but they lost. Other side of things here, Butler plays UConn. They don't cover the spread. They play St. John's. They don't cover the spread. They play Providence. Shout out to Nasty Nate in Providence. They don't cover the spread. They did cover the spread against they didn't cover the spread against the Georgetown team. So Butler, not a team that goes out there and is proficient about this thing. But I did some digging on this thing. Okay, I did some digging. First of all, top 25 ranked teams when they're playing an unranked team and they're a home favorite are 102-80. Big numbers, though, as I looked at that thing. 42-29 is the average first half score. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be a 42-29 first half score. I'm just saying, look at the margin in there at 11 points. So the spot for me as I looked at this game is I said, I'm comfortable dropping 6, and it's still 6 at minus 115. I'm going to pay the juice on it to the minus 115 at this point. There's 6.5s at minus 110s, but that number's kind of all over the place. Now we're starting to see minus 115. So DK still has a minus 6. Not mad at anybody that wants to take the 6.5. I can just get a 6, so I'm going to take the 6. Look at this thing here. Marquette, 20-game win streak in Big East play, tied for the longest in league history going into this spot here. Big opportunity for them. Top 100 team out there for sure. Nobody in the top 100 has played more quad 1 opponents than Marquette. So they are battle tested and they're loaded for bear. They played Purdue. They played Arizona. They played UNC. And they played Rutgers. Big opportunities out there for them to get the job done. Shaka Smart, not going to roll over in this thing. If you look at this too, 3 games following a loss this season for Marquette. This is what made me look at this first half. 3 games following a loss this season in the first half. Cash the first half the next game every single time. Impressive numbers when you look at that. Additionally, they would have cashed each of their games after the loss last season based on this number at 6.5. So 6 or 6.5. Marquette, battle tested, home favorite, home strength, 37-4 at home under Shaka Smart. Big opportunity for them to come back here, rebound. And again, I talked about Butler. Their early road game conference, matches, their early road season hasn't been very strong. And again, I'm just going with the numbers. I like this Marquette team to bounce back. They rolled a dud last game. I don't know that they get it done full game. I like the 11.5. I'm not mad at it. I think it's a good opportunity, especially with that home ranked favorite situation. But I think they come out pissed off. You got a mad team that was down the entire time from Seton Hall, never within the number from the start of the game. And I think they're going to go out there and put boots to ass on Butler here to start this game off. So rare first half for me. Nasty Nate says Marquette stinks. Don't disagree, but I like them in the first half in this game here. Their recovery record in the first half after a loss to me is what you have to take note of in this spot. So JPZ says Drake's undefeated at home, won 8 of their last 10 versus Indiana. Line moved from 1.5 to minus 2.5. I like Drake as well, PZ. Nothing I'm giving out officially on the play here, but I do like no, Ian, I said it on purpose. I coined them that name on Saturday's live stream. So let's go. Let's keep rocking here. We've got one more to talk about in college hoops, and then we're going to move over to the NBA, and excited about the card that we have for you there as well. As I'm looking at this last game on the card, I went to this USC spot. Washington State opens at 5.5, getting 5.5 points. They're now 6.5. 60% of the bets, 86% of the team taking the road dog in a conference game. Crazy to me to see that. And the books think it's crazy. It's now 6.5. Again, moved to full point. The total, on the other hand, 57% of the bets, 91% of the cash on the over, and it's dropped 2 points from 147.5 to 145.5. What up, Kelly B? Kelly B says, hey, Mike, St. John's at MSG tonight, nationally televised game. No, at Georgia State, ESPN, Denver. I'm struggling to read it. Denver, Utah, little info. Okay. Gotcha. Thanks for sharing, Kelly B. Thank you much for dropping your action in the chat there as well, or at least the insight for the action. We got a Washington State team that's 10-5. We have a USC Trojans team at 8-7. And I think this number is lined appropriately for a reason. First and foremost, Washington State just 4-7 against the spread this season. Not a strong spot for them when it comes to some of these numbers that I broke down. They're off of, from a USC perspective. What did USC do? They beat our Red Hot Stanford team. Red Hot Stanford had beaten Arizona, big upset. Then we came back on them and took them at UCLA. They were dogs in both those games. They came out and they won them both, Stanford, that is. And then USC came out and they clubbed them like a baby seal. Final score 93-69. It was disgusting what happened out there with Stanford in that game. And, when I look at kind of who they played in these spots, they had the back-to-back gauntlet spot there with Oregon. They had Oregon on the road. They lost as a 2.5-point favorite. Big trend, though, big factor. When a team previously played Oregon, they lose that next game more often than not. They're losing that next game at about an 80% clip. Then they play Oregon State after that Oregon game. They lost that game. Since then, they've righted the ship. They've won against Cal 82-74. And again, they bludgeoned Stanford 93-79. So I like this USC spot quite a bit. I mentioned the previous opponent factor. Who just played Oregon? Washington State. When you just played Oregon and one of the teams that I track in this trend, 41 and 156, you're losing to the spread by 5.5 points in those spots. Again, if you look at how this Washington State team played against Oregon, they lost the game 89-84. They were down 5 points at halftime. Try as they might, they could only tie that second half against Oregon. Oregon had no quit in their game, and that gets frustrating. I think that wears you down physically and mentally. I think it's a tough spot for them. USC's won its last 13 games in a row on a Wednesday night as well. They like playing on Wednesdays for whatever reason. They like that hump day opportunity. I like this USC spot to get the job done. And let's keep rolling. Let's move on over to the NBA. Let's bust out this association card. We're going to move pretty quick through the association. I've got a couple of spots here. Didn't get into the whole card, but I guess I got more spots than I thought. That happens. First game I'm looking at on the deck. I'm not touching that Spurs Pistons game. Not going to do it. Not interested. I think I read somewhere those two teams playing each other. It's the first time in NBA history that two disgustingly horrible teams are playing each other with terrible records like that. So I'm all for a bum fight, but I mean, if I had to take something, I would probably take the Spurs in that thing. But 75% of the bets, 74% of the cash on the Spurs. It's only moved to half a point. Just not a game I want to be involved with. The under opens at 239, now 238, 80% of the bets, 99% of the cash on the over, and it's dropping. Play I did want to get involved with here. I went to the Celtics and the Timberwolves game and, was kind of hemming and hawing. How do I want to get involved with this game? I'm going to go to this under. It's now starting to move. So when I put this game together earlier today, was no movement out there. 223.5 was where it opened up. Now 227.5. So, 4 points of movement, but I still like it. And I'll tell you, when you look at these teams in their history, these teams play to the under, and it's a low under. This is a low under for a reason. When you've got teams that are scoring 240 points and they drop you with a 227.5, suspicious alert right there. Now, 78% of the bets and 83% of the cash on this over. And, if you look back at who they've played and kind of what the record's been looking like here, Celtics play Indiana. Well, we know Indiana's a high-paced team, lined at 246.5. The second game of a back-to-back was lined at 250. They had a 240.5, a 240, and a 241. Even the Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves are kind of the guys that are lining this thing down. They had a 234.5 against Dallas, but they're coming up with a number of unders. Under 217.5 against Orlando. That game gets under. They got the 234 against Dallas. That game gets under. 216 against Houston, and that game just snuck over by 1. 220.5 against the Pelicans. It snuck over by 3. And then 222, it goes under again. I love this Boston Celtics under spot. I know it's a low number. I know it's probably uncomfortable. But I like the fact that it's moved a couple of points now as well. 227.5 at minus 105, 228.5 at minus 115. Yeah, I'll take the extra point as well. And kind of the supporting cause behind it here. Teams that are off a loss, that are favorites in a game that they shot over 50.5%, are 22-0 to the under when it's lined under 228.5. So big spot there for this 228.5. Now, I know it's 228.5 now, but it's really geared around to me that opening number of 223. So I'm going to take this first NBA card, 228.5. It's minus 115, and that's going to be the first play on the NBA card. Moving the truck down the street here, let's talk about this next game I'm looking at, the Wizards and the Pacers. This is where I wanted to have some fun in this game. I know what's going on with Hallie. We got it. It's an unfortunate situation. Fortunately, it looks like it's just a groin and it's not anything more serious. I don't know what the case is. I'm not a doctor. I'm a gambler. But I do want to gamble on this game, and I'm going to tell you exactly where I like this gamble. You see it on the screen with the bets. I think this is a great opportunity. Who's the second best guy on the Pacers? Miles Turner, right? And I think this is an opportunity where he's done nothing but put up 10-point spots every single game this season, with the exception of one. So we're going to check the box that he gets that done. And I think where the opportunity for him to step up at here is, when it comes down to the rebound side of the house. The game that he didn't get over 10, he had 6 points and 4 rebounds. That was a Wizard spot that he played the Wizards out there, right? Has not had a double-double since December 10th. I got it. I get it. It's not where you want to see. But Halliburton's been such fire that he hasn't needed to go out there and do double-doubles. The last time the Pacers played the Wizards, they scored a shitload of points. It was a 137-123 spot. Again, I know Miles Turner only gets 6 points and 4 rebounds in that game. But when you look at how teams are rebounding out there, Jalen Smith, really strong rebounder for the Pacers. But with Halliburton going down now, I think the game script clearly has to change. You got to lean on your second best player. You got to go to Miles Turner. We need a little bit of improvement from him. The Wizards allow the most rebounds per game to opposing teams in the association at 57.9. They allow the most rebounds to opposing centers at 23.56 per game. They allow the 4th most points to centers as well, which is going to help check that box on the point side of things. Again, he's gone over his 10 points in every single game except the one game that he had foul trouble against Washington last time out. And he's going to be a huge factor as the number 2 guy if the Pacers want to keep that pace of scoring, no pun intended. So I double dipped this one. Here was the theory that I had with this. I'm taking a shot for the score on the double-double at 2-1 the money. I also looked at the Turner over 8.5 rebounds. That's a stat line that he's been pretty solid with and consistent with as well. Again, I think he needs to step up given the situation, knowing the positional opportunity that this creates for the center in rebounding against these Wizards. Great opportunity. If he only gets 8.5 rebounds, it's plus 110. We're still going to make $10 in profit on a $100 bet between the two. If he does get the double-double with the rebounds, if he falls just short of I'm thinking the points number is getting there regardless for us. It's the rebound number. And if he gets the 9 and he doesn't get there overall, we're still going to turn a profit. This is very much, to me, kind of like that strategy with those 2 games last night in the NHL. Give me the double-double 2-1. Give me the 1.1 opportunity. If he gets that double-double, guess what? We just made 3.1 units with a real low-risk opportunity out there. So, yeah, you got to shop around for that one. It was FanDuel number that had him at plus 200, Caddy Daddy. In fact, when I looked at DraftKings, it was plus 165. So Miles Turner, double-double, plus 180. Says Wizards have given up a double-double to opposing centers in 5 of their last 8. One of that one didn't hit with Isaiah Joe by 2 points. That guy isn't even allowed to shoot. It's a great point, Caddy Daddy. As a guy that's bet on Isaiah Joe previous seasons, that's absolutely right. So Jay Peasy says TCU has moved to -5. Not mad at that play. I think there's a reason that line's moving. So no, it's not Noli Nos. It's I'm not trying to make unders great again. I just want to get that cash, JPC. So shout out to you, my guy. So yeah, I got this little tricky spot here for me. Going to start here shortly. I want Miles Turner double-double and the over 8.5 rebounds. Third game on the card that I looked at in the NBA. I jumped in and I took a look at this Rockets and Bulls spot. This game opened up at 3.5. 56% of the bets, 91% of the cash on the 3.5, and it's not moving. It was a play for me to start this thing off on the hop, but this lack of movement concerns me. Also, a spot that I looked at opens at 216, a half a point movement upward, 54% of the bets, 90% of the cash on the over, and it's not really moving. A half a point to me isn't substantial movement when you got 24,000 tickets in, 90% of the bets pushing that over, and the thing moved to half a point. I think the Bulls and the under are live spots in this game. I was just a little hesitant to get the job done. The Rockets have lost 23 of their last 25 games as road dogs. They're just not in a good spot as a road dog, and that's where I want to get the play on. I looked at the Bulls money line, opened at -140, has shot to -165. I didn't write it down because it was just a lean for me. There was a spot that I had looking to this under. It's just a lean to me on the Bulls. I don't like what I'm seeing out of Houston and their road situation. I don't really like what I'm seeing out of the Bulls for that matter either, though. As you look at these Bulls, they had 2 losses to the Sixers and the Knicks. Now, of course, they lost to the Sixers, but they beat them the previous game to that. The Sixers kind of have an issue when it comes to playing the Bulls. They do beat badly to the Knicks by 16 points, but the Knicks have been retooled with the addition of OG. And then on the other side of things, they had back-to-back games against the Hornets. So this is kind of their first test out of the gauntlet, if you will, for the Chicago Bulls. And on the other side of things, when you look at what's going on with the Rockets, they just lost to Miami on the road. So they got another road spot out there. They did beat Milwaukee. That was a big step up to the bell opportunity for them. They got bludgeoned by Minnesota. They did beat Brooklyn as a 4-point favorite. They should have beat Brooklyn. They covered the spread against the Detroit team. So not necessarily the toughest strength of schedule, in my opinion. I think the Bulls come out here ready to play. I just had to lean that way. It's not an official play. But I did jump on an official play in this next game. And I'm going back to Old Faithful here. Old Faithful. Now, Golden State as a home dog. Huge opportunity for them to get the job done. This line opened at +1. Has moved now to 2.5. So there's been some movement. There's still 1.5s that are available out there. 79% of the bets, 72% of the cash on the Pelicans. Line's moving. They opened up as a dog. Now they're a favorite. 233 was the opening number. Has moved to 234. 64% of the bets and 92% of the cash on that over. And I think this spot that I got to go to here is I got to go to this New Orleans first half spot. I took them on the money line at minus 120. T, you back there? There we go. There we go. There it is. I want to make sure I said the right number. Minus 120 on the spot out there for us. And look, Golden State is a home dog when they're lined less than 5 points. They're 16-4. They're 15-5 straight up. Big opportunity for Golden State to get this job done over the long stretch of the game. In those games, though, they've all been second half comebacks. Well, not all of them. I think 2 of them were first half victories, but majority of them have been second half comebacks for Golden State. I think they're a live dog. We know the Pelicans have been one of the best first half teams in the NBA, but this the drill down detail analysis for me came down to looking at that 16-4 spot, breaking it down and seeing, yeah, they're live dogs, but it's second half. Pelicans have won each of their last 6 road games as well. I think they're ready for the test, and they come out here to step up in this game. It's an 8:30 start, so it's going to be a little bit earlier on the West Coast, which I think bodes well to the Pelicans. It's not the full body clock shit show that goes into it. They just came off a win against the Sacramento Kings on January 7th, 133-100. They whooped up on them boys. They took a step back against the Clippers, who we know have been kind of resurrected with James Harden after that first stretch of games. They've been beating teams up. They beat Minnesota up. They beat Brooklyn up. They beat the Lakers up prior to that. And then on the Golden State side of things, they win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one. And that's a zigzag that I just don't want to be a part of. So I like this opportunity for the Pelicans to come in fired up and motivated. They've got the 3-day rest factor. And you look at the Warriors just lost as 2.5-point favorites to the Raptors. Are they going to come back and rally? They got guys that are more concerned about trying out for the UFC, in my opinion, than going out there getting it done. But let's keep it rolling, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. I'm jumping into this Nuggets and Jazz game. Somebody asked about it in the chat earlier, and I am absolutely going to take the points with the Jazz. The home Jazz are a thing. 63% of the bets, 88% of the cash. We're starting to see a 0.5 point of movement. In fact, just as I say that, there we go. 6.5 now from the 7s. So this line just is ticking. Somebody just hit a bomb from this chat, maybe based on what we're talking about here. 238 was the back number. 50% of the bets, 89% of the cash on the under, and it's moved a full point to the over. So there's still 238.5s out there, but we do see some 239s. And, bottom line, Jazz have covered the spread in each of their last 9 home games against a winning team. They play hard at home when they've got strong competition coming out there. Not only have they played hard at home, they took down the Bucks as 8-point dogs. They won by 16 points outright. They were 6.5-point dogs against the Sixers. They came out there and won by 11 outright. They did lose to nasty Nate Celtics. Okay, that was in Boston. But here they come after a 3-game road stand to come back home. On the other side of things with the Nuggets, they play a Detroit team. They win up pretty good on Detroit, 131-114, but they barely cover the number. They lose outright as 10-point favorites to the Orlando Magic at their own barn, which is a place they do not lose. They did not cover the spread against the Golden State team that we just talked about being suspect. And the Jazz, 22-1 against the spread, covering the number by almost 10 points when they're a home dog that's lined between 1 and 8 points if their opponent won outright the previous game or lost by 5 or less. So we know that this case here, Denver won that game outright. Jazz 22-1 against the spread, covering the number by almost 10 in this home dog role. They play better at home. They got altitude advantages, elevation advantages. I'm on that Jazz spot at +7. Still out there, now slightly juiced, so minus 115s. But let's go. Last game on the card here. We'll get everybody up out of here and go see them boys on the Hoop Show. Raptors and Clippers. Here we go. Kent Davies says mortgage bet on Utah. Tony Trill says 2 units on the Jazz +7. I'm not mad at that whatsoever. And then Mike likes the Clippers and the Jazz. Kelly V says Utah 9 of 11 against the spread recently. Yeah, hell yeah, Kelly. And that 22-1 factor when their opponent's coming off that win. Absolutely give it to me. I'm going to jump in on this Jazz spot and make it roll. So let's go. Let's talk about this last game here. We'll move quickly to get everybody rolling with the boys, Dutch and Daddy. And this was another little fun spot that I wanted to have tonight. I think the Clippers are going to whoop the shit out of the Raptors. Second game of a back-to-back. That was a late game last night. Yeah, body clock. Let's talk about the spread. Opens at 9.5. all the way up to 11.5. Now it's starting to come back. So the 11.5 is what kind of led me to this combo play. But now we're starting to see it come back. 63% of the bets, 89% of the cash agree the Clippers are going to whoop up on them Raptors. Then you look at the total. Opens at 236.5. It's 234s. There's 235s. There's 236s out there. 60% of the bets, only 42% of the cash on the over. So suggesting this is going to be a lower scoring game, which I think is interesting. Good night, Jacqueline. Good to see you. See you tomorrow as well. I think it's an interesting spot for this number because second half of this back-to-back, we know that these legs get tired and these boys get run down and they end up getting run out of the gym. So very much was considering the over in this game, but I had to go back to what I know. What do I know? I know that the Clippers money line looks like a great spot. When you look at this Clippers spot, the Clippers have covered the spread in 9 of their last 10 against opponents who are on the second leg of a back-to-back. They take advantage of teams that are on that back-to-back spot and show no mercy. Also, I thought this was a pretty neat one. When a team won each of the previous quarters in the game prior, they're 18-11-3 against the spread. So not a tremendous win advantage, but I'm trying to get this money on. It's 116 to 110 is the average number we're seeing. Home favorites line between -9.5 and -11s when they're playing non-conference teams after a home game are 4 and 10. That was the spot that I did not like when it came to considering this Toronto spot, but the number dropping to me made me feel more comfortable about that. And where I went to here, teams off a back-to-back win as a dog in the middle of a 5-game road trip, aka the Toronto Raptors are 121-1 against the spread, losing by 7.5 points a game if the line's longer than the previous game. Now the over was a spot that I considered as well. Big dogs off a loss as a dog are 16-0 to the over, going over by almost 17 points in the game. So I was considering that, but I ended up going with this little same game parlay. I went Scotty Barnes under 7.5, quickly coming in, took his position over. He's all over the map. He doesn't know how to get the job done from the rebounding perspective anymore. He was definitely in a play on spot. Now, not saying he sucks. His points and his assists have gone up since Quickly's come into the game, but his rebounds have gone down. He was knocking that rebound number down day in and day out. He was a triple-double guy, a double-double guy. He was the guy for the Raptors. Yesterday was 8.5 is the number that they set on his rebounds. He went under that thing. He had 3, I think. And then you look at this thing over the last 4 games, extrapolate it out. This Quickly factor is real. He's only got 11 rebounds in his last 4 games. They moved this number down yesterday from 8.5. Same gym, same situation in the second leg of a back-to-back. They moved it down from 8.5 to 7.5. The line is -150 out there on some of those 7.5s. So I bundled them together on DraftKings. I got Clippers money line, Scotty Barnes under 7.5 rebounds, plus 115 spot for me to close out the card and try to have a little fun on the day. Now, probably look to live bet some of that as well. So that will do it for today's card. We'll put the bow on the show and get everybody ready to rock with Dutch and Dabby. But I want to shout you guys out one last time. Kelly B says leaning over the Clippers game. Shout out Kelly B. Shout out Jay Peasy. It's back up to 11.5 now. Money line jumped to -600. The Clippers are going to whoop them boys up, Jay Peasy. That's my estimation here. Caddy Daddy. Mike says under in the Clippers. Caddy Daddy's got a same game parlay. Quickly, 5+ assists. Quickly, 5+ rebounds. Zubac, double-double at plus 1,000. That's an interesting look. I kind of like that. Not mad at that at all. Let's go. Good luck to you, Caddy Daddy. Says, let's have some fun. Quickly, 5+ rebounds, plus 210. He's cleared the line in 4 of 5 games with Toronto. Siakam questionable tonight also. And the crew is here. Kent Davies. Shout out Tony Trill. Everybody that dropped in. Vampolo, BP's 100. My guy out there. Scarmanetti. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. Jay Peasy. I mentioned Loopy. You too. Ron Lofton. The gang showed up tonight and showed out, guys. I'll give you the last rundown right quick and then shoot on over and see them boys all about the hoops tonight. We got the Flyers as a lean under 6.5. The Dallas game I'm on under 6.5. I like the Colorado -1.5 spot at plus 108 I'm on. Clemson money line. I lean to TCU. I've got Marquette first half -6. Played a little price on that -115. USC -6.5. I went to Boston Celtics under 228.5. I went Miles Turner, double, plus 200. Miles Turner, over 8.5 rebounds, plus 110, trying to get at least one of the two to cash. If he gets the double, they're both going to cash. I lean the Bulls, but I ultimately didn't pull the trigger on it. I'm jumping on that New Orleans Pelicanos first half. Pelican fly at -120. I got Utah plus 7 And then a little fun to close out the card. I got the Clippers money line. Scotty Barnes under 7.5 rebounds. Guys, do me the favor before you head up and out of here, hit that like button and then shoot on over. See the boys, Dutch, Dabby, and company, all about the hoops, Pub Sports Radio. Sign up. Become a member if you haven't done so already. Guys, get green. $4.99. Help us, help you, help everybody find more cash together. We appreciate it. Smash that like button. And tell Dutch and Dabby I sent you on over there. I'll see you guys soon. We be pubbing!